In November 1988, a 17-year-old Japanese schoolgirl named Junko Furuta vanished on her way home from school. She had been expected home that evening, as usual, but never arrived. Her parents were worried, but it would be weeks before they discovered the horrifying truth that Junko had been kidnapped, held captive, and subjected to more than 40 days of unimaginable torture before her death. Junko Furuta lived with her family in Misato, a city in Saitama Prefecture, north of Tokyo. She was a diligent student, known for her quiet nature, academic focus, and polite demeanor. She didn't smoke, drink, or get into trouble. Her friends described her as responsible and well-liked. She had no known enemies, and nothing in her life at the time suggested she was at risk. On November 25, 1988, Junko was walking home from her part-time job when she was approached by a teenage boy named Hiroshi Miyano. Miyano, who was 18 at the time, had a reputation for violence and was reportedly connected to local Yakuza gangs. With him was a friend, Shinji Minato. According to court records, the two had planned to find a girl to assault that night. Miyano lured Junko to a secluded area by pretending to need help or directions, and once she was isolated, the pair abducted her. She was taken to Minato's home in the Ayase district of Adachi, Tokyo, a two-story house where Minato lived with his parents. Over the next 44 days, Junko was imprisoned there and repeatedly subjected to physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. Miyano and Minato were soon joined by two other boys, Joe Ogura and Yasushi Watanabe. Together, the four carried out an escalating series of violent acts against Junko. The details of her captivity, later revealed in court, were so extreme they were initially difficult for investigators to believe. Junko was beaten daily, often forced to sleep outside on a balcony or on a concrete floor. She was raped numerous times, reportedly by more than just the four teenagers. Some accounts suggest others were invited to the house and participated or watched. She was starved, burned with cigarettes and lighters, and had fireworks inserted into her body and ignited. Her hands and legs were broken, and she eventually lost the ability to walk or use the bathroom. Despite her injuries, no medical care was ever given. The boys forced her to call her parents during the early days of her captivity, claiming she had run away and was staying with a friend. Fearing for her safety, she complied. This act of manipulation bought her captors time. She was being held in the home of Shinji Minato, one of the four attackers. His parents and brother also lived there. Junko was initially forced to pose as Minato's girlfriend in front of the family, but as her condition worsened, her injuries became harder to conceal. Neighbors later reported hearing disturbing sounds coming from the house, yelling, crying, and at times, screams. Police visited the Minato home twice during the course of Junko's disappearance, acting on tips they received. Each time they were turned away by the boys' parents, who insisted there was no girl there and that nothing was wrong. Authorities did not investigate further. Despite clear signs that something was happening inside that home, no one stepped in. Whether out of fear, willful ignorance, or a desire to protect their own, the Minato family did nothing to help Junko Furuta. As the weeks passed, Junko's condition worsened. By late December, her physical state was critical. She had sustained internal injuries, severe infections, and organ damage. On January 4, 1989, after more than 6 weeks of captivity, Junko died. The exact cause of death was likely a combination of trauma, infection, and systemic failure of her body. The boys placed her body in a 55-gallon drum, filled it with concrete, and left it in a quiet construction area in Koto Ward, Tokyo. The case was uncovered weeks later, in late January, after Hiroshi Miyano was arrested in connection with an unrelated sexual assault. During questioning, police learned of his involvement in Junko's disappearance. Eventually, he confessed, and the other boys were arrested. The drum containing Junko's body was recovered shortly after. All four perpetrators were under 20 years old at the time and were therefore tried as juveniles under Japanese law. Their names were initially withheld, but due to the severity of the crime and public outrage, Japanese journalists published them anyway, arguing that the public had a right to know. The sentences handed down were seen by many as shockingly lenient. Miyano received 20 years in prison, while the others received shorter terms ranging from 5 to 10 years. Many in Japan were appalled, believing the justice system had failed to deliver an adequate punishment for such an extreme and sadistic crime. Some of the perpetrators were released and later reoffended. Over time, Junko Furuta's name has become known not just in Japan, but around the world. Documentaries, articles, and online discussions continue to share her story, not because of the graphic details alone, but because her case highlights how systems can fail even the most innocent among us. To this day, her parents and family have remained largely private. Their grief, though rarely voiced in public, has been acknowledged by a country that continues to mourn alongside them. There is no footage of the crime, no known photographs of the abuse. The evidence comes from police investigations, court transcripts, and confessions from those involved. The images that remain are of Junko in her school uniform, smiling, hopeful, and full of promise. For more grim stories like this, subscribe to the Grim Crim Vault. We release new videos weekly.